Hey guys, so tonight I wanted to share a quick message from the book of Joshua, and it is basically about deception. And this is going to come from Joshua chapter 9, verse 14. And I'm going to read the verse and then I'm going to also give some context. So Joshua 9:14 says, "So the Israelites examined their food, but they did not consult the Lord." So some background on this text: the Israelites were just entering into like some of the promised land that the Lord had promised them when they were in their exodus from the slavery in Egypt. And Joshua was leading them at the time because Moses had died, and now Joshua was their new leader. And the Lord was like conquering all of the Israelites' enemies. Like he was going before them and driving all of the people out of the land that the Lord was telling the Israelites to now occupy. And so what happened was these Gibeonites, and also referred to as Hivites, they heard about how the Lord was conquering the enemies of the Israelites, and so they were afraid. So what they did was they thought of a deceptive method to get the Israelites to think that they lived close by. And what they did was, it says they sent ambassadors to Joshua, loading their donkeys with weathered saddlebags and old patched wineskins. They put on worn out patched sandals and ragged clothes, and the bread they took with them was dry and moldy. When they arrived at the camp of Israel at Gilgal, they told Joshua and the men of Israel, "We have come from a distant land to ask you to make a peace treaty with us." And so the Israelites replied to them, "How do we know that you don't live nearby? For if you do, we cannot make a treaty with you." So the Israelites were not able to make treaties with anyone that lived nearby because the people were pagans. They worship false gods. And the Lord was like basically saying, in order to occupy this land, you got to drive out these enemies. And so the Israelites were like keen about not making peace treaties with these people. And so the Israelites said, "How do we know you don't live nearby? If you do, we can't make a peace treaty with you." And they replied, "We are your servants." And then Joshua says, "But who are you? Where do you come from?" And the Gibeonites, Hivites answer, "Your servants have come from a very distant country." And they go on to say, "We've heard about what all God has done for you, how he's conquered all your enemies." And then they go on to say that the bread they brought with them was hot from the ovens when they left their homes, but now, as you can see, it is dry and moldy. And it says, "These wineskins were new when we filled them, but now they are old and split open, and our clothing and sandals are worn out from our very long journey." Then Joshua 9:14 says, "So the Israelites examined their food, but they did not consult the Lord." And then Joshua made a treaty with them. And then in verse 16, it says, 3 days after making the treaty, they learned that these people actually lived nearby. This is a whole word, literally. They examined their food, but they did not consult the Lord. Why is this a whole word? Because this lets us know, in any type of situation, things are not always as they appear on the surface. These people live nearby, but they played their part as like long journeymen very well. They brought old bread. They dressed in old, like worn out clothing. They had the Israelites completely deceived. Like the Israelites were embarking onto like new land that they had never lived in before. So they had no idea who these people were. So all they could go by was their word and what they saw from their own examination. This is why we need God way more than we think we do. We can look at things with our own eyes and it may look legit on the surface. It can look as just whatever someone is telling us it is, but God knows that he knew that those people live nearby. If Joshua, and he was like a follower of God, they made a mistake. But if Joshua would have taken a moment to consult the Lord first, they would have never gotten into a treaty with these people. And the Israelites ended up making them slaves. But this is applicable to all aspects of our lives. If we are just going by what we see, what we think, what we hear, what people are telling us or showing us, and we don't consult the Lord, we can end up being deceived by people that live close by, just like the Israelites did. Like, people can be so deceptive. It's like you won't realize some extent and lengths that people will go through to deceive you, especially when they know that you're a Christian, especially when they know that you're a believer. This world that we live in is spiritual. It's more spiritual than it is physical. And in the spiritual realm, God sees everything that's going on, stuff that we cannot see behind the scenes. He knows when a person is coming up to us and they look like they've got good intentions, and everything they speak, it lines up, everything they show us lines up, but it's not always the case. That's why we need daily time with God. That's why we need to consult with him, because they're very tactful and they're very, very deceptive. We are here with a purpose. We are on a journey for the Lord to conquer, not actual promised land, but like the promises for the rest of his people, to draw them to him and bring them back home. Like, we are on a purposeful journey, and the enemy knows that. So what's he going to do? He's going to send people just like these Gibeonites that are going to look a certain way in appearance, speak a certain way, and to the physical eye, you won't be able to tell any difference. You won't be able to tell if they're truly friend or foe. So you have to consult with the Lord when some things, and it's not just if they seem too good to be true. It's just in general. The Lord will give you that spiritual discernment, but you have to spend time with him. You have to spend time with him in his word, but also just physically with him. Like, he is present in the life of every believer. You have to sit with him so you can get to know and hear his voice clearly, because he will let you know in a dream or some other way. He will let you know. No, he'll let you know in advance, so that when some person starts walking up to you and they start saying this, that, and the third, you'll already know, because the Lord already gave you the discernment and the wisdom that you needed. This is why consulting the Lord is of the utmost importance in our lives as believers. Like, it has to be a habitual practice, no matter what. It's going to save us from so much trouble, so much unnecessary drama, so much hurt, just unnecessary roads that we never need to go on. It's like, oh, this road looks good and straight, and it seems fitting to me. And then you get to some unknown or unexpected turns, where if you'd have just consulted with the Lord instead of just examining what you saw on the surface, you could have avoided all that mess and all that unnecessary, like, waste. Like, we are in a crucial time. People need to get saved. People need to know Jesus. They need a real relationship with him. They need to know that he really is alive. He really is present. We have a road that we need to stay on. We've got more conquering we need to do, and we don't have we don't have time to be getting deceived by people coming up to us, just parading around like they're for us. The enemy also has tools and weapons. Remember that. And some people are part of it.